Welcome to the Sonia Buchanan Show, where we inspire one life, one smile at a time. Come on in, everyone. It is time for the Sonia Buchanan Show, where we focus on one life, one smile at a time. I sound like that show back in the 70s. It says, come on in, boys and girls. Come on in, boys and girls. Yes, it is. It's time for the Sonia Buchanan Show. Listen, you guys, we have a great title for you today, and it's called The Bridge. Hey, yes, you know what the bridge is. Bridges are basically a overpath to the other side. They are built to get to the other side because the walking path is either water, it's either a probably a not safe place to get to, probably a connection with an overpass from mountain to mountain, or it is a shortcut to get to the other side. But today we are calling this podcast today The Bridge. And let me tell you, this last night, oh my goodness. Have you ever just been sleeping so peacefully? And, you know, when you get to a place in your life and you're trying to do life right, and having a peaceful sleep is like heaven. I'm having a great sleep, and all of a sudden I wake up out of my sleep about 2 or 3 o'clock this morning, and it's like I gasp air, like I have been somewhere, you know. And I know many of you understand when I say when you come out of a peaceful sleep, as if, and you're peaceful when you come out, it's as if you have been somewhere else in your sleep, consciously. And that's how I felt. At 2, 3 o'clock this morning, I gasped this breath of air, and I come out and I'm fully awake. I was at peace, and then 5 to 10 minutes later, I am now irritated. My spirit is just really vexed for some strange reason. And whenever I get vexed and I get irritated, I become cynical, and I start just want to write in cynical language, you know. And that's exactly, here I am at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm angry because now I'm mad because I woke out of my sleep and I was at peace. 10 minutes later now, I'm irritated, aggravated, and cynical. I don't know how that happens less than 30 minutes, but it did. And I began to write, just being cynical. And the line of writing, the whole scenario of writing was like comparison. I was, in my mind, I was thinking, what in the world? Why am I not asleep? Why am I not resting? And I began to look at my whole life, you know, from 6 years old all the way up until my age. You know, I'm going, all of this is happening within 30 minutes because I'm irritated now. And my first writing on my sheet of paper and my pen, I began to write, and I started thinking, I always go to the word, and I started thinking about the life of Jesus to bring some type of avenue of peace, because his life gives me peace. The structure and the things that he did, his walk, the words that he spoke, it always brings peace to me, and it brings security, and it brings an enlightenment of, okay, everything is going to be okay, because I trust his word. His word has proven to be pure, accurate, and there isn't any destructive things that will cause me to stumble. And so I began to write, and I thought about Jesus' life, and I said, Jesus learned carpentry, you know, because his stepfather was a carpenter. He had a carpenter business, John. And I said, he learned carpentry not to become the best priest in the synagogue, you know. That's not why he was learning carpentry, you know. Then I go on, you know, I took it a little farther away from Jesus, and I went into my today, because this is how I kind of bring myself back into the reality of peace. And I said, political figures didn't study law, passed the bar to become the best administrative assistants to an attorney. You know, they didn't go through all that law school for that reason. And I said, an accountant did not study principles of accounting, passed the exam to become the best cashier at McDonald's. You know, and these are the three the three subjects in my cynicalism was expressing. But I really liked the one about the accountant. An accountant did not study principles of accounting, passed the exam to become the best cashier at McDonald's. I really like that one. I actually started laughing at that one. And and I began to look at my life, and I began to look at everybody's life. I began to look at everything that, that will help my cynicism, because, being cynical with yourself is probably healthier than being cynical using someone else as a board to throw darts at, and and I thought, I was just sitting there thinking, I said, I didn't go through all this in my life, to become the less of something. There's a reason, always a reason. It's probably the best reason. And then you find yourself comparing that. And then let me just say, there's nothing wrong with being a priest at the synagogue, because I got to clear that up. But there's nothing wrong with being an administrative assistant to an attorney. And there is nothing wrong with being a cashier at McDonald's. There's nothing wrong with those. But, just work with me here, because I'm not throwing darts of anyone, because I respect everyone's job and gifting and all of that. But I was expressing in my cynicalness, and this is what was flowing out of my spirit. And, sometimes there are conversations that is going on about your life with other people who don't even know you, and they discussing your life without your permission. And in your spirit, I'm telling you guys, we're all spiritual beings, and there's no distance in the spirit, especially when people are discussing you and you're not part of the conversation. So I truly believe that's what was happening. The reason why I was being cynical and my spirit became irritated, because now I'm expressing truth. I'm expressing the foundation of truth to cancel out their opinion, that no one asked their opinion. When it says people's opinion comes a dime a dozen, or whatever the conversation in the spiritual realm, or whatever, however was happening, I have a tendency to say, this is what this is. This is a possibility, because most of the time I look at things in a roundabout view. I try to look at things in 4 angles, the south, the north, the east, and the west. And I do not ever make a insinuation to say this situation over here is better than this situation. That situation is better than this situation. I never do that. That's why I had to go back and say, there's nothing wrong with being a priest in a synagogue. There's nothing wrong with being an administrative assistant to an attorney. There's nothing wrong with being a cashier of McDonald's. They're all great positions. But there's something wrong when someone's having a discussion about your credentials and what you are desiring to do. And if you want to become a lawyer, you study law and you go through the law classes and being an intern and passing the bar. But the whole aim in a person that's doing that, their goal is not to become an administrative assistant to an attorney. That is my viewpoint on that perspective. Same thing with being a political figure. You go in and you do all these things. And the same thing as being an architecture, with Jesus. He knew at the time, and he turned 30, well, it's time for me to leave this business. And I'm sure the business was lucrative, and he had inherited the business of being a carpenter, because after John married Mary, all of a sudden he is no longer in the word. They never mentioned John ever again. So I just assumed that Jesus learned the business of carpenter. He inherited the business, but Jesus knew that those skills and that learning curve at that particular time at 30, it was now time for him to fulfill the overall. He had been an intern as a carpenter. Now it was time for him to be the carpenter, the carpenter, the architect of what his ministry. Of course, everybody know who Jesus is. But anyway, I was being cynical, and I have to do that because sometimes people have a tendency to not see the big picture. We got I looked at the Census Bureau numbers, and it's 7.7 billion people in the world. And 2010, there was 7.5 billion people in the world. So we are in 2021, it's 7.7 billion people in the world. Did I say in 2010? It's 2010, 6.5 billion people in the world. Excuse me, I had to correct that. And now in 2021, it's 7.7 billion people in the world. In America, it's over 300 million people in the United States. So you have to look at things in a variety of perspectives, because people are not the same. Their life and skills are not the same. Their careers, their culture are not the same. We can't put people in boxes, And so that is what I wanted to say, the bridge. I know our discussion is called The Bridge. And let me explain why I'm speaking about the bridge. And so I was bridging those two situations together to say that it would be easy for a person that is going to school to be a political figure if they wanted to study law and to become administrative assistant. But either case, there's a bridge over a situation. Jesus explained it to us. There was a bridge. John the Baptist was the connection to the bridge. He crossed over the overpass of being a carpenter to get to the other side. And what greeted him on the other side was John the Baptist. And he baptized him into his ministry. The same thing is when political figures go to schools to study law and pass the bar, they become an intern. Someone from another company hired them to be an intern. And then they go, I'm not exactly sure the process. They are an intern and then they pass the bar, or they pass the bar, then they become an intern. However it is, there's always someone on the other side when you cross that bridge to get to the other side. And they have their open arms waiting for you, greeting you to carry you on to the next important part of your life. And that is why I call this podcast The Bridge. Every one of us experience it. There's not one person does not experience this. It's the same thing. I remember being in high school, you guys, and I remember I was in the 12th grade. I was in the 12th grade, and I was in the 11th and 12th grade. And I didn't have to go to school all day. I got to leave at 12 o'clock because I was on this work study. But I had a class, and it was programming. And I took this as an addition because I had to fulfill the first half of the school because I had finished all my classes. And I decided to take a class called programming. And when I went in to take the class of programming, and we had a very intelligent teacher who was teaching the class. And this is the programming when we talk about DOS, putting all of these different programming and parts together where you can create software like games and things like that. So I'm in this class, and I realized the class was very difficult. It was hard. And I asked him, the first 3 days, I asked him to sign the exit paperwork so I can take another class. Well, my teacher would not sign the paperwork. He would not sign the paperwork so that I would exit. He told me that he wanted me to stay in the class. And I said I did not want to stay in the class because it was too difficult. And I did not want to learn how to program anything. He said, I'm not signing it, and I want you to learn. I believe you can. So he would not sign it. So I was forced to stay in this class to learn programming, DOS, the concept of how to create software and how to create games, And by the end of the class, I created a game, which was the craziest thing. I was really excited. He was excited. I passed the class because there was someone on the other side of that bridge to take me in to say, you can do this. That's what that teacher was. And later on, of course, if you listen to a podcast recently, I mentioned that I took a class called A+, which was understanding how to build computers. Now, what does this have to do with my whole life, and what does have to do with everything? It was talking about the bridge. There's always someone on the other side who will ignore your not want to, because they can see beyond your not wanting to. And we all experience it. Everyone. It could be a stranger, at a store. It could be a stranger that you passing by, and they may see something in you, and they may say something to you that will take you to the next level. That will be a bridge, the other side. I truly believe as people, we're all connected with the same experiences. It's done sometimes a little different. Sometimes it's got a little curve. But there's always someone on the other side of the bridge. And so when I got up this morning and I was irritated, and that's what was flowing out of me being irritated, my cynicalism. Because as I stated, these 3 examples that I gave signify that there was always bridges to someone who can see the big picture of a situation, of your life, or of why you're there, and particularly at a point. I remember going to church, and I was a member at a church for over 20 years, and our bishop invited a entrepreneur guy who taught entrepreneur classes, and I wanted to take the class of entrepreneur, and the class, I believe, was like $1,500, and it was a 6 weeks course. Of course, it was 1 day a week, 6 weeks, and it was not the most easiest class, but I was like, $1,500, oh my God. And the interesting thing, I have a friend who is very up in his game in corporate America. And I was having lunch with him, and I was telling him about that class. And I said, I don't want to, he says, I told him, I said, I don't want to pay installments. I just want to just pay cash. Because I've been into the moments where you pay student loans, and I never want to get into that again. After I paid my last student loan, I said, no, never. So I wanted to pay cash for the class. And while I was having lunch, my friend, this is back in the day. This is like maybe in 2004, 2005. And he just pulls out his checkbook and write me a $1,500 check, you guys. And I looked and I said, oh my God, this is crazy. This is really crazy. That was the bridge, again, to eliminate having to pay installments. But although I'm telling you that now, I did not just let my friend give me $1,500, because I was not that type of kind of friend. I felt very honored that he wanted to do that. I took the check, and yes, I paid for the class. But also another bridge came about. I was working for a company, and we had over 20,000 emails that we needed to take care of for the company. And they opened the floodgate to say that we can work as much overtime as we wanted to. It didn't matter. We can work 40 hours of overtime within that 40 hours a week. So we can actually get in 1 week 80 hours. And so we had the opportunity to work as much overtime as we liked to answer those emails. So as every day I worked from 6 a.m. to probably maybe 7 to 8 at night. And I did this over a course. And I worked, and that was the bridge to actually access that $1,500. And I turned around after I passed the class. I wrote him a check. I sent him a check with a nice little gift bag and a greeting card to say thank you so much. Because what you don't want to do when you got friends who are lucrative in their money and able to bless you, you don't want to do your over welcoming your stay. And of course, he was very shocked that I did give him his money back. Yeah, because I really may need him to be a supporter of me in the future. The reason why I was taking an entrepreneur class in the first place. So you want to make sure you want to take care. But that was another bridge. Two situations happened at the same time. That was a bridge. And but that's what I want to talk to you guys about is where are the overpath to the other side that you should be walking towards, because there would be an influence person there to greet you. It always happens that way. You can't expect it to be happening, but it does happen. You don't know where it's coming from. You can't put a name on who's going to be on the other side of the bridge, because sometimes it doesn't work that way. It could be a stranger that you've never met that's on the course who needing something that you have. That's the bridge for them, and you being the bridge for, and they being the bridge for you, you know. But I just wanted to say the bridge is our topic for today. And that's going forward in 2021, which I truly believe that this is going to be a great year, because we are in a new decade for the next 10 years. If you follow out your plans, 5 to 10 years. But this is something that I wanted to bring enlightenment to you. Is called the bridge, the overpath, the getting to the other side. You know, keep on walking, because some people don't walk as fast as others. Some people jog across the bridge. Some people run across the bridge. Some people take baby steps across the bridge. But either way, understand that you could be on a bridge, get to the other side. And you can look over the path and see what's underneath you, but that's not even necessary. Just keep your face and your eyes looking straight ahead. Sing if you want to go across. Sing as you go across the bridge. Dance as you go across the bridge. But whatever you do, get across the bridge, because most often there is somebody there who will embrace you and take you on to the other side, to the next place in your life of enjoyment. Listen, you guys, that is what I want to talk to you guys about today. I'm excited for you. I'm excited for me. I'm excited about pretty much everything. I try to be excited. I try to look at things delightful. And I try to be, for myself, try to look at things in a better picture, in a better way. Even though sometimes, like I said, I woke up out of my sleep at peace, and then 10 minutes later I was irritated. Then now I'm writing, being cynical. But when it all came to the head, to the core of the whole experience, it's about that bridge, getting to the other side. Because now you're facing a new adventure in life. Because life is about adventurous things. But I just wanted to share that with you all. And this is the end of our podcast. Again, this is the Sonya Buchanan Show. Listen, you guys, I thank you so much for listening. I thank you for supporting. Until next time, this is the Sonya Buchanan Show, where we focus on one life, one smile at a time. Bye, you guys. Hey, get across the bridge and make it happen. There was somebody be there waiting to embrace you. Bye, you guys. Thank you for listening to our broadcast, The Sonia Buchanan Show, where we focus on one life, one smile at a time. Until next time, bye you guys.